I'm here with Peter Gregory, and I have a question for him around businesses who are reaching out to him. Does the owner's primary objective for exiting the business matter when it comes to, a sale? So how does that how does what the business owner wants out of it impact it?
Yeah, you want to probably answer that from the owner's perspective and from us who are trying to advise them, what kind of impact that we can have with them. And generally, if the scale is zero, they haven't thought about it at all. We're the first ones that are talking about exit planning to ones that are very structured with management, and the whole objective was to sell the business. So that's your range. But you think about it in the terms of what's good for or what's the needs of the owner on that. And sometimes it's a long training period to explain to them issues about exit planning and how to get value out of it and who that would go to, whether it be their heirs or whatnot. But then we have to look at it also from our effectiveness and like our path, how we might work with somebody like that. So there's sort of a quadrant probably forming there about how we really look at where they are, what their post ambitions are. And I'd say 50% of companies I talk to that sell for $1 million or less are generally smaller. They haven't really thought too much or planned too much around exit planning generally, and some of them vocalize, just had this week, vocalize they're very concerned about what's going to happen to them after they get done. They had no like post ambitions after doing this. They've just thrown everything at it. So do you see that too? Owners just throwing everything in there, trying to make it as successful, but not looking at sort of the overarching plan of where to get out?
Yeah, I do. And some of that comes from burnout, right? I love that business owners are thinking about this 3 to 5 years in advance. But look, there are times when that's just not realistic, right? So what they want as their next big thing and the timeline around that have a lot to do with what their options are, right? And ultimately, a lot of times what value they get for their business. But I think there are definitely what the owner cares about definitely has a lot to do with how they ultimately exit. So, for example, for a business owner who really cares about his or her legacy, really cares about his or her
Right.
employees, customers, all those kinds of things, it really matters, and their options may be different, right? They may focus more on, passing along to a family member or like an ESOP, a stock ownership plan for the employees, as opposed to, selling to a competitor kind of thing, right? If they care about legacy. So those matter when it comes to what business owners' options are.
I know you bring up, yeah, really good points with that. And I even have getting to conversations with owners and they bail out. They don't do anything with their business. And one of them, usually what my commentary about that is they're just not motivated for the work. It's unbelievable, but going concerns. And I said, well, at least sell it and give the money to some favorite charity of yours, try to create the motivation at the end there. It's happened a couple times.
Yeah, I see that,
Good,
and it
good topic to talk about.
it kills me to see, local community-based businesses just go out of business. And I think you're right. The some of it is they're just tired, but it's a huge loss. Again, not just to them financially, but to their families, their employees, their vendors, and their community, their customers, right? So I try to dissuade people and say, hey, let's put in a little bit of work here to make sure this thing lives on. But it's ultimately the owner's decision.
That's right. And that's what our job is, just to meet enough of them to try to help them and get them into help them from our perspectives, which they don't have. And we're sharing our experience with them. Really good. Great conversation about that. Owners are interesting.
Awesome. Thanks for the input.